are celebrating Mother's Day today on SpiceFM. It is a Mother's Day weekend. Send your greetings to Mother. Use SpiceFM KE on the social. I have given up on the WhatsApp number. But if you have it, please, you could also send a WhatsApp. But now to the cartoon business, and in particular, cartooning for democracy. That is the hashtag. I'm joined by two amazing women, Celeste Wamiru and Ala Satir. Welcome to Double O Direct.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. My name is Ala Satir. I'm a Sudanese graphic designer, illustrator, and cartoonist. My work usually tackles different issues, but I think it's mostly focused on women issues, actually. Yeah.
Amazing. Celeste.
My name is Celestine Wamiru. I shortened it to Celeste as my signature. I am a newspaper editorial cartoonist in Kenya, based here in Nairobi, and I also do freelance work.
You know, usually I have the funkiest hair in studio. But today I am completely...
I beat you to it.
but both of you have just put me to absolute positive shame.
No.
But I want to understand about, this hashtag cartooning for democracy. I'm going to start with you, Ala.
Democracy is a tricky subject, of course,
Yes.
especially in the region we are in. In Sudan, we're still fighting for democracy. We're still fighting for the right to have fair elections and get to choose the government that we feel like can deliver our demands, deliver our rights, and all of that. And we think cartooning, as an artist and as a cartoonist, we do think that cartooning is a way to democracy. And how do we do that? Is basically because it helps us challenge authority, it helps us challenge power, it helps us talk about things that are usually hard to talk about.
Yes.
And when you do that, you kind of break the fear barrier and you are more comfortable voicing your opinions. And once you do that, it's easier to revolt, it's easier to uprise, it's easier to stand against anything that doesn't go hand in hand with your rights or the things that you want.
I find that so interesting. And Celeste, is this an organization-based movement, Cartooning for Democracy? Are you and Ala sort of working with an organization to promote cartooning for democracy?
Absolutely. We are organized as cartoonists both here in Kenya and abroad, and we've come together under the umbrella of an organization called Cartooning for Peace and Democracy. And we are organizing workshops here in Nairobi throughout this week, when we're celebrating World Freedom Day, World Press Freedom. And we've come together, we've been organizing workshops, discussions throughout the week since Thursday, and they are ongoing till Monday. So we are an umbrella organization of cartoonists from here in Kenya. Around Africa, we have cartoonists from Uganda, from Tanzania. We have French cartoonists who are in town from all over Europe, and some who are not here in town, but all over the world.
I'm going to hit on a sensitive topic.
Yes.
Sometimes, even though it's in caricature, some don't find it funny. Some might find it offensive. So I'm going to throw this back to you, Celeste, before I go to you, Ella. How do you deal with reactions to your work that perhaps are taken in a negative light?
First of all, audiences that read our cartoons ought to understand that a cartoon is an opinion, and everyone has a right to their opinion. Cartoons are a form of freedom of expression. So just because I don't agree or find what you've said humorous does not mean that it's wrong. I have a right to it, and you should accept it as such. So it's I understand, because cartoons, especially press cartoons, are made to offend in a way because we speak against the ills that we see in the society, in government, and it's sort of a voice of the people. So clearly there's a target. I mean, it's always directed at somebody, and they will not be happy about it. However, the intention was to get the masses to speak about that subject, to have a dialogue, a discourse about that subject. And so the offending part, it's an emotional reaction which will pass, but the objective was to get people to talk about that subject.
Ella, people have lost their lives. I mean, it's not exactly, we are lucky in a way to be living in this republic with certain rights and freedoms awarded to us. But for example, where you're from in Sudan, it may not be as simple as just accept the fact that it's a cartoon. What do you have to say?
Yes, the thing that we're noticing since the revolution started is that people are now more courageous into putting their opinions out there. So it's not just through cartoons or art, even though the art movement was prominent in the revolution. Even people who didn't, artists who didn't identify as political cartoonists were drawing political cartoons because that was the situation at the time. And even though we're still met with a lot of violence, and we have artists who get arrested, and we have artists, who actually a group of artists who got arrested since the coup and still haven't gotten released, it's still kind of, in a way, it's still nice to see that people through this violence and through this fear of their lives, they're still not afraid to speak up, because you can tell that once you break that barrier, it's just really there's no going back. It's hard to see, but at the same time, it's kind of promising that, yeah, we are finding new ways every day to challenge authority.
Celeste Wamiru and Alice Satir. They are cartoonists, and they are from an organization that's been hosting workshops. Cartooningforpeace.org. That is the website that you need to be visiting. But let's find out about these ladies first. Ala, tell me about yourself.
Oh, okay. So if you want to talk about my art experience so far.
Your background
Your
and what
background.
landed you as a cartoonist right here today on Double O Direct.
Okay, so I think I've, like most kids, I grew up drawing and doodling and all of that. And then at some point, I think society, the world convinced me that maybe I need to venture into something that's not 100% artistic. That's why I went to architecture school, because I wanted to balance. At that time, I didn't think I was 100% an artist. I need to balance it with something scientific, which was funny because I graduated from architecture school, never worked as an architect.
Yes.
And decided to go into illustrations, cartooning, graphic design, all of these things. It just felt like it's a creative outlet that I needed. It was a creative freedom that I needed. There was a lot of things that I needed to say, whether it's commentary on the society that we live in, on the government that we have, a lot of things. And it just felt like that's the medium that I need to just say my opinion out loud. And it's always better received than when you talk about these issues. When you draw about them, it's always better received, and you get to have better conversations. I think art, in a way, provides like a safe environment for people to talk. And we kind of need these kind of tools in a society where everything is kind of a taboo subject.
Did you grow up in Sudan?
Yes, I grew up actually in Bahrain
Yes.
for the first 10 years of my life, and then I moved to Sudan, and
And you went to architecture school in
Sudan.
Sudan. Now, the perception is that we don't see many women architects in Sudan, but perhaps it is an unconscious bias or a very conscious bias that I have, because I would never have assumed that as a woman, that would be something culturally that would be accepted in Sudan.
I think in the past maybe, but
Yes.
now even the university that I went in, it was mostly women. The
Yes.
people in my class were mostly women. So because it's actually more artistic,
Yes.
it's an engineering field, but now people are more viewing it as an art field, and that's why I think a lot of women are trying to become architects.
And with the cartooning, for example, you graduated as an architect. Was it commercially viable to go into cartooning? Is there a whole industry in Sudan
No,
for
not at all.
cartoonists?
Not at all. I didn't see a lot of people in front of me doing it.
Yes.
Especially talking about women issues through cartoons.
Yes.
So I didn't see an example in front of me, but it felt like it's something. It wasn't, and the incentive wasn't money. It wasn't getting me any money, but it was like I have something on my chest I need to put on paper, and that was how it started. And then I decided to share these things. So.
I love it. I love it. More with Allah. Celeste, tell me about yourself.
Well, like Allah, I started drawing as a kid, literally throughout my childhood. I was a doodler, in going to school, those exercise books in class, teacher catching you, sketching them. So I've been drawing since childhood. And when I got to high school, I remember there was a big tiff between my art teacher and my sciences teacher, because I was a good student and I was good at both, but my art teacher felt that I should focus on art, but at the same time there's always this pressure, you need to do sciences, you need to get into a career path that will make you money.
You need to get an architectural degree that you'll never use.
Actually, I was made to pick architecture.
Oh,
Yeah.
Just like her, I was made to pick architecture as a career path. And I remember after my Form 4 exams came out, I had a B plus, but I felt short of the architectural cutoff point by, I think, 1 or 2 points. And so I got, my second choice was design. And when I got my admission letter at the University of Nairobi in the Department of Design, I went to the architecture office, which we shared a building at ADD. So I went upstairs and asked, okay, so I failed to get to your cutoff point by like a mark. And they told me, yeah, you can bridge it and come upstairs. But when I went around and looked at the architecture studio, I was like, this is not for me. I think the universe had conspired to just land me at the right place. So yes, I did study for it. I was at the University of Nairobi studying design. My major was illustration, so I perfected my illustration skills there, and I graduated from there, and here I am.
so how many women were in your class?
There were 3 students only who majored in illustration.
Oh.
There were 2 ladies and a guy.
So it's not really a big flourishing course.
Well,
at that time.
That specialization.
Yes.
Design is general and it's wide. There's graphic design which had many students. There was interior design which had several students, over 20. But illustration is specifically about drawing. It's a very technical and very specific skill you need for that.
Yes.
And that was a very small class.
Your first paid illustration, Celeste.
Yes.
Which one was that?
Oh my gosh. I remember being paid 8,000 shillings for illustrating a storybook by Phoenix Publishers. I was still a student in campus. That was the sweetest pay ever.
Isn't it great when you earn the money that you get?
Oh, absolutely. It was.
What about you, Ella? What was your first paid illustration?
Yeah, I remember this one because I actually became friends with my client after. We're still friends. So he's someone who was developing an app at the
Yes.
time, and he just needed a character that goes with the app. And I remember it was a worm, had a female worm and there was a male worm. So yeah, that was my first paid job.
And in Kenya shilling equivalent, do you know the currency exchange? Any idea what it is? Or in dollar equivalent? How much were you paid for that?
I think it was a cheap, it was a very cheap job. I
How
think
much?
it was maybe a $200 or less.
Cheap job, $200.
Less, but I mean, if it's developing a whole app and interface and so
Yes,
you charge more for that.
Of course.
But I think at the time it was, I will say less than 100.
Okay, so there are lots of young women
Yes.
listening and they want to know, should they go into illustration as a career choice? Is there money to be made? Listen, no. Before I get into the other things, right? Is there money to be made in cartooning?
You can go in with the incentive that you're going in for the money. You're going to be disappointed
Yes.
because to get to the point where you're earning money out of your work, you need to be patient. You need to do it for the love of art, but you need to also have a business mind as well, which is something I'm struggling with actually.
Yes.
Know how to price your work the right way without devaluing it by pricing it low. Know how to partner and network and all of that. So it's a skill that you need with your artistic skill. You need a business mind, kind of.
Yes.
Which is something that you can develop. But yeah.
Celeste?
You know, when they told me art is a poor man's career,
Yes.
well, they didn't exactly lie.
I know.
However,
Yes.
you can be comfortable.
Okay.
Yes. If you're greedy, then it's not for you. But you can be comfortable, and it's absolutely rewarding.
So then, what are some of the highlights in your which year did you graduate? Okay. Okay. No, how long have you been an illustrator?
Many years. Actually, about 15 years. I will say I'm not afraid.
So highlights. So in those 15 years
Yes.
as an illustrator,
Yes.
as a cartoonist,
Yes.
some of your highlights.
You know, it's a journey. I started out doing children's books, illustrating the children's books for local publishers. And after a while, I think one of my really proud moments was when I joined the team that animated Tinga Tinga Tales. I don't know if you guys know about
Yes,
it.
of course.
Yes. I think that was one of the moments in my life where I learned a lot, and I worked with a great team of illustrators and designers and animators, and it took my career to another level.
Yes.
So I'd say that was one of them. The second was when I got headhunted to be a newspaper cartoonist for a local newspaper. I had no background in politics and all that, but I got to discover my inner activist when I took on that challenge. So I'd say those are the two biggest highlights.
And isn't it great when you're headhunted, when someone seeks you out and understands your talent and appreciates it and looks for you?
And that's what I'm talking about when I say it's very rewarding, because people see your passion, people see the talents that you have, and the impact that it's having around you.
Otieno, this is Double O Direct, a safe space for women, hosted by a woman, music by women, and only women guests. Thank you so much, Afrida Designs, for dressing me today. Pics are up on our socials, SpiceFM KES, the photo is there. But I'm discussing the cartoon business with two amazing illustrators, Celeste Wamiru and Ala Satir. Ala, what are your highlights so far?
I think my highlights is whenever my work is taking space, is taking physical space. It's bigger than a sketch on a notebook.
Yes.
Because I think when I first started, I was very hesitant to share my work. I was so maybe it's the imposter syndrome. Maybe it's just not being confident enough. So I think some of my highlights, I would mention 2019, of course, during the revolution, when I painted on walls. So that was my first wall to paint. And I thought my first wall would be my bedroom wall. It ended up being in the street during an uprising. So that's definitely a highlight for me.
What did you paint?
I painted a woman, and then I used one of the sentences or the chants we use in protest, and it was directed to women. It says, women, stand in your ground, because this revolution is a women's revolution. Yes. And when I wrote this, of course, it was in the street, and there was men all over. And of course, the streets in Sudan is very male dominated. So you can imagine painting there how it will be like. And of course, every man who was watching me paint was like, why is it for women? This is a revolution for all of us. But of course, it's for us, it's different. It's the resistance that we have on a daily basis. It's not just protesting in the street, but you resist on a daily basis. You resist when you're inside the home, when you're outside, when you're at work, when you're with your family. So it's just bigger than that political uprising for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was 2019.
That was 2019. Yes.
Other highlights?
Yeah. Again, every time my work takes physical space. So I think the first time I also pasted my work in London, because I was very overwhelmed with the street art there. It was very beautiful, very like established artists put their work in the streets there. So I felt like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, if it will stand out if I put my work out there. And yes, one day I just decided to paste my illustrations on the street, and I was getting comments right away, and it was just beautiful. Yeah.
So tell me, how does it work? Is it legal? Is it you need a permit?
In UK, I have to say it was not legal. It was not legal, but I tried to find a street where most artists go there.
Yes.
And picked a time where it's convenient. I had someone who had a problem with me pasting it, and I said, like, you know what? You can rip it off after I'm finished, but I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna finish. If you want to rip it off after I'm finished, you can do that.
And what did you paint on the streets of London?
It was I do a lot of illustrations of women with birds, because at first I started doing the birds during the revolution. It was a sign of freedom and all of that, but at the same time it was a sign of my art venturing or taking different walls in different countries and all of that. So it was just my women with different birds and holding incense and being spiritual and all of that. Yeah.
Fantastic. What about Celeste? This event that has been going on for the last few days, Cartooning for Peace and Democracy. How did you find out about it, and what is your role?
So Boni Media, which is a Kenya organization that produces the XYZ show, is working in partnership with Cartooning for Peace and Democracy, which is an organization based in Europe. And together, they thought to do something meaningful during this week, where we're celebrating freedoms of speech and a free press. And so they came together, and through Boni, because we do a lot of projects with Boni, collaborations, exhibitions, and we thought, well, as cartoonists in the region, we have visiting cartoonists from Uganda and Tanzania, like I said. Let's come together and do something that we can share and continue to do even after this week. So Cartooning for Peace came to train us cartoonists to be trainers of other people about cartooning, and we've been focusing on the aspects of cartoon that can be used as a tool of education. So we're hoping to hold workshops with the community centers, youth groups, kids in schools, and just enlighten them about cartooning, because with the advent of social media and memes, you'd be surprised that there's a generation of young people who may not be too familiar with what cartooning is all about. So we want to bridge that gap. We want to connect with them, get them to start drawing, and those who are falling by the wayside with their drawing skills, to get them back on track, and to tell them, hey, you can use this tool to actually help change in the community.
So Celeste, you are an editorial cartoonist. Can you name some of your works that have been the most polarizing? Because, like you said, they're
Yes.
made to, steer and provoke.
Yes.
And emotion.
Right.
So, and to highlight certain ills or, gaps in society.
Mm-hmm.
Which works do you feel in your 15 years have been the most polarizing?
Okay, so in my line of work, you actually go by the topics of the day. It's very, very time dependent.
Yes.
Cartoon today may make sense, but next week it may not.
Yes.
So for it to be relatable, it has to be time conscious. I've done a few. One I did, remember when there was this case about Langata Road Primary School playground being grabbed, and I did a cartoon about the mysterious owners of the company that had bought the land, and I covered them their faces in the imagery with masks, because according to the documents, the directors of that company were all somebody sing. So I actually put them in sing turbans, and I remember the backlash that I got back then. It was crazy.
From the Sikh community?
Yes. I got letters from as far as Pakistan, emails. Yes, about displeasure by what I drew.
Yes.
So, but I'm happy that it got people talking about that topic. Yes.
Are you ever afraid?
Well, not really, no, because I think I'm lucky to be working in an environment that has generally come to accept freedom of expression.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people understand that it's just an opinion.
Okay.
No need to take it too personally. One other thing I'd add is that a lot of times, because I'm a woman, people think that all I do is cartoons about, gender matters, and, I tackle all topics. It's just probably by coincidence sometimes at an exhibition, some of my gender work takes the forefront. But I'm a cartoonist, just like any other cartoonist by all standards, and I like to be judged as such.
And this event that's taking place currently, Cartooning for Peace, on average, how would you ratio male to female with regards to the industry as you see it?
Well, professionally,
Yes.
there are a few ladies for sure.
Yes.
Actually, I think as professional cartoonists, it's just Allah and I.
Wait. You're telling me that cartoonists have come from all over the region, but it's just Allah and you as the only women?
Yes.
So, okay. Give me a number of how many cartoonists are we talking here? 10, 50, 100?
A bit less than 20.
A bit less than 20. So
Yes.
it's not that extreme.
Yes.
Okay.
The people who came here are less than 20. Yes.
Less than 20.
Yes.
So you represent maybe 2%.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Not 2, 1%.
Yeah.
No, 10%.
Oh,
Mumbi,
that's difficult for me.
How many?
Jesus.
How many percent? If they're 20, 10%. Too.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Ish.
Apologies, Jesus. Yeah, I know Mumbi's like, hey, lightning, do not strike me. But seriously, so you're currently living in the UK, Allah?
Yes.
How did you get there?
I went to study. I started with my master's. I did my master's in visual media, illustration and visual media, and then I switched my visa from student visa to a global talent visa, which is very new, recent, to
Pause. Global talent visa.
Yes.
My fellow countrywomen, there is now such a thing.
yes,
Yeah?
yes.
It's called the Home Office. Yeah? Of the UK has launched
A
the global talent visa. Hawana talent. After Brexit, walienda wote. So please, if you have talent, you can now get that visa. Continue.
Yes. So yeah, I stayed there after I switched to this visa, and now I've been there for a couple of years. Yes.
Highlights?
From being there, oh, it was. Of course, it was a challenging environment. I'm not gonna lie. It's you're there without any networks, without knowing anybody. You're by yourself. So I think whenever I got an opportunity, I felt really good. Like, oh, my work is getting recognized in a pool of artists. We're talking about London. It's a hub of creativity. So if you're getting noticed there, it means something. So I would say a highlight when one of the a gallery there. They contacted me to do an installation in their garden, and the installation was supposed to be an interactive one with kids and families, and which is something I've never done before. But it was a very creatively rewarding experience. Yeah.
Host, music by women, my outfit. Yo, this fit. Different woman in fashion every single week. Thank you so much, Afrida Designs, for this dress. And it is a Mother's Day weekend, so send your messages of appreciation to your mom using our socials. SpiceFM KE. Victor Masia, Neni. I see you. Yeah. I'll be reading out some of your messages on social, but first, some parting words and musical trivia. Make all my guests tremble. No, but seriously. Trivia and parting words. Celeste Wamiru and Alasatir, two extremely talented cartoonists. Ladies, parting words. How are you going to inspire the next generation, even the current generation for that matter? Celeste.
That's what we're trying to do right now. We have different groups of cartoonists from the region at Alliance Française, talking to students from Daystar University today. We were at the Nairobi University yesterday. We're going to community centers and informal settlements on tomorrow and Monday to talk to kids and to talk to the masses about what we do. So we are taking steps towards that. I would like to encourage girls, ladies out there who can draw and who have an inclination towards drawing to please take it up, because I think I'm the only press cartoonist in the region that's a lady. Well, I'm proud to be one, but I'm lonely. I'd like more of them to take it up and join me.
I absolutely love it. Are you actually conducting workshops where you're physically demonstrating your talents and illustrating how you conduct your art?
Yes, we are actually conducting workshops and talking about cartoons, how to interpret cartoons, because cartoons are a tool of communication. Yeah, so there's some satire in there. There is symbolism, things which need to be deciphered, and it needs some visual literacy. So that's what we're trying to impart. First of all, for people to understand cartoons before they even become cartoonists.
Ala, you're currently based in London. I want to find out, NFT, is that something you're going to venture into? Is that a platform for you?
I always say, like, I get asked about that a lot because I'm a digital illustrator.
Yes.
So people assume that I'm into a NFT, but I've heard that it's really bad for the environment. I didn't go into this more, but I think I'll definitely read about it more before I do anything.
I love that.
Yeah.
Making an informed choice. How can people find you and your work, Ala Satir?
On Instagram, at Ala Satir.
Very quick, very easy. What about you, Celeste?
I'm on Facebook, Cartoons by Celeste.
Cartoons by Celeste. And Celeste is Celeste.
Right.
Ala Satir is ALAA.
SATIR.
I absolutely love it. Let me cue up some trivia. Absolute pleasure. Celeste Wamiru.
Wamiru. And before I go, Olivia, I'm sorry, but it's my daughter's birthday.
That is
Viviana Wamiru.
Okay, tell me, what's her name?
Viviana Wamiru.
Viviana Wamiru.
Yes.
How old is she today?
23.
No, I'm not
Ridiculous.
accepting.
Ridiculous.
No. Your biological daughter.
Absolutely.
We need to talk about two things.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, forget those genes. Your face cream and who does your brows?
Oh, I'm an artist. I do my own brows. So I could teach you a thing or two.
Yes, you could. So
Yes.
send a message to your daughter.
Viviana, happy birthday to you. I love you so much. You make mama proud. Keep going, keep flying. You have a bright future ahead of you.
That is so great. That is so fantastic. Ovaries are tingling. I will not lie. I do not have a daughter. I have a son, but ovaries are definitely tingling. Anyone you want to send a shout out to? Ella?
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out my friends who are based here. I'm gonna say Inas, she's a Sudanese artist, goes by the name of Alfanjaria. Dima, all my friends who are here, just love you all. You're my chosen family.
I love
Yes.
it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Celeste. Thank you so much, Ala. The site that you need to go to is cartooningforpeace.org.